Accountability is a number one role in leadership. As far as role, I'm talking about traits because accountability is very important. In accountability, you have to make sure that your name is on the line. And as a leader, your name is on the line. Your reputation is on the line. When you do things, when you say things, when you set goals, people will hold your feet to the fire. And a lot of people today are not accountable for anything. They say what they want, they do what they want, and no one holds their feet to the fire because, truth be told, a lot of men today are not actually striving for anything. They're not leaders of anything or anybody. They're not even leaders of their own family. So, of course, they can just say anything and do anything because they don't have to be accountable for no one. And they are choosing not to be accountable. They are choosing not to be leaders of no one, not to be leaders of anything. When men were born to lead, it's a natural, innate ability within us. So today we're going to talk about why accountability is important and how it's really missing in our society and in our world. We got a lot of grown men who are not accountable. They say things and they do things, and then when their reputation gets put on the line, or when it catches up with them, they seek sympathy. They seek an easy way out. They seek a scapegoat. And that's not what real leaders do. Real leaders are accountable. You know, in every action, even if you had nothing to do with it, you some way, somehow are still accountable. You gotta look for the part you play in it, even if it's the smallest part. If you are leading a team and they do something that goes against the grain, you are still accountable because you are leading them. If you are in a situation where a deal goes bad, even if the other person is not being agreeable, even if the other person is being very complex, being very difficult, you still have a part to play in it. And almost, and I say almost, I emphasize that point, every situation you are accountable, and you have to look for your part in every situation. Accountability is very important. We must hold other people accountable, and that's something that we rarely do today. We do not hold other people accountable, mainly because we don't want to be held accountable. You have people living lives that are counterproductive to their health, counterproductive to their well-being, counterproductive to the people around them. But when it catches up with them, they demand sympathy. This is not the trait of a true leader. I constantly use the word leader because the world today, as we know it, is lacking leadership. It's lacking true leaders. See, the leaders of today are nothing like the leaders of old. I'm telling you, just study them. Study leaders of the past. Even some that you don't agree with, study them. You will see that they held a high rate of accountability. They always were accountable for themselves and for others. But yet we choose to live lives that we don't have accountability for anything. We're opting out of the system. Today's men are truly defeated. They're defeated human beings. They don't want to lead. They don't want to follow. They don't want to get out the way. They just want to exist. They just want to curl up in a box and just sit there and hope that the world doesn't give them problems. Hope that the world doesn't give them challenges. Hope that the world doesn't push on them too much because they can't handle it. Any small circumstance, they can't handle it. Any small situation that doesn't go their way, they don't know how to handle it. Mentally, they are not prepared. Physically, they are not prepared. Financially, they are not prepared. Socially, they are not prepared. Today's men do not want social capital. A lot of them don't have any. Mentally, they can't handle any stressful situation or any uncomfortable situation. If things in life go left, they won't be able to handle it. Physically, they're out of shape. They're eating unhealthy. They're living unhealthy lives. Financially, they're just doing enough to get by. They don't have any big dreams. They don't have any big goals. They're not trying to push society. They're not trying to change society. They're not trying to lead. Lack of accountability. No one held them accountable with these behaviors. No one told them that this wasn't okay. But as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as someone who is building something, you have to be highly accountable. You can't indulge in that, because at the end of the day, the buck stops on you. And you have a lot of people who are looking up to you to do the right thing, to make the right decision. You don't have time to cry when things don't go your way. You don't have time to shift the blame. Even when things are not your fault, you still get blamed because you are the captain of the ship. And see, that's why I love The Art of War. It's an amazing book. And I love just researching old generals because they had a level of accountability that really we can't even understand today. When they lost, their head was on the pike. If something went wrong, it was on them. When things did not pan out, when they lost the battle, everyone looked towards them. And even generals today, they can't appreciate that type of clarity. Because when you have that much onus, when you have that much burden that's on you, things become very clear. Things become very clear. You have to be accountable for your actions, for your family, for whatever you're building. Be a leader and be accountable. Understand that people who choose not to take accountability for nothing, they usually are not leaders. They usually are living very poor lives, shifting blame, squirming. These are people you need to stay away from. These are people who are generally very ingenuine, and they will squirm out of any type of responsibility. Understand this and stay away from people like that, and take ownership of your life. It's the Gutsy Entrepreneur. Like, share, subscribe, and stay vigilant.